Welcome to Nintendo Kill Count, the show where we track everything we kill in our playthrough of a game available on a Nintendo console. For episode 1, I wanted to start with a classic. Super Mario Bros. Is what many people envision when they reminisce about their first Mario experience, and while it's not the first Mario game, it is one of the most iconic. Now, I had several reasons for wanting to start with Super Mario Bros. First off, it's part of one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, and will set a good baseline for future games to measure themselves against. Also, I've never completed the game. I've played through World 1, but never got much farther than that. Mario platformers aren't my cup of tea, and I prefer Mario sports games, but I thought it would be fun to come back and give the game another try. Finally, if I'm being honest, I chose to play Super Mario Bros. Because it's relatively short. Going back and counting all the enemies you kill is an involved process. Starting with a shorter game will alleviate some of the potential frustration that starting with a larger game like Mario Odyssey could create. Rather than giving you a play-by-play of every enemy killed, I will focus on highlighting the most interesting moments that came up as I worked my way through the levels. I'll finish by sharing some general thoughts on my enjoyment of the game, and end by breaking down the final kill tally. If you're playing along at home, leave a comment right now as to how many creatures you think I will kill on this playthrough, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you know when future episodes release. My personal guesstimate was 300, but to be fair, I thought there were 8 levels in each world instead of 4, so yeah. I can already tell you my guess was pretty far off. One final note before we begin. I played through the game using the Nintendo Switch Online version, which features the rewind capability. This saved me a lot of time, since I didn't have to repeat an entire level every time I died, but I also realize this will lead to a decrease in total kills since I will be replaying less levels. With that introduction out of the way, relax, pour yourself a glass of chocolate milk, and make your predictions as we find out how many creatures I kill as Mario on this playthrough of Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Is broken down into 8 worlds, each containing 4 levels. The 4th level always takes place in a castle where you fight Bowser, only to learn that after defeating him, Peach is in another castle. This is why you always do your research, kids. With a little extra planning, Mario might have been able to go to the correct castle on his first try, and we would have been treated to a Mario game that only featured 4 levels. The first 2 levels passed by uneventfully enough, but my methods for what to count as a kill were challenged as I started level 1-3. This level has a lot of platforms with large gaps between them. As I jumped over one such gap, I landed on the head of a Koopa Paratroopa, the flying turtles. When you jump on their heads, it causes them to lose their wings, so this unlucky turtle plummeted down and fell out of sight between the 2 platforms. Meanwhile, without any fanfare or hesitation, a Goomba that was on the platform I was jumping towards simply walked off the edge. Knowing that when I, as Mario, fall through a gap in a level, I lose my life, the questions this raises are stunning. Why did this Goomba throw his life away so casually? Was it out of fierce loyalty for Bowser, or another cause I'm not aware of? Is there some way I can give future Goombas hope, purpose, and a reason to live? While all interesting to consider in their own right, the real question is, should I count enemies that fall off platforms as kills? I decided on this simple rule. If I somehow contributed to them falling, as was the case with the Koopa Paratroopa whose wings I had destroyed, I would count it as a kill. If, however, the enemy on its own volition chose to walk off an edge, I would not count that as a kill. My player-controlled character of Mario had to be directly involved in order for it to count. While this may be a slightly controversial decision, I ultimately felt it was the most fair way to approach the myriad of Bowser's minions who simply ended their own life without my involvement. After making my way through all of World 1, I came to the final level and defeated the Bowser waiting there. I knew going into the game that at the end of each world you fight Bowser again, implying that you only wounded him in each of the previous encounters. This would insinuate that throughout the whole game, you only kill one Bowser rather than 8. But a little internet research showed me that the Bowsers you fight in Worlds 1 through 7 are all fakes, and the only real Bowser is in the final level of World 8. While I almost always killed these fake Bowsers by jumping on the axe, which causes the ground beneath them to disappear, sending them plummeting into the lava, you can see the real enemy underneath their Bowser disguise if you pepper them with enough fireballs. This raised the question of how to count each of these kills. Do I simply add one to the kill count of a new fake Bowser enemy type? Or do I increment the kill count of the real enemy underneath the disguise? I decided on counting each kill as the real enemy type. So for example, at the end of level 1-4, when I fought and defeated the Goomba disguised as a Bowser, I increased the Goomba kill count by 1. Either way, the kill count would advance by 1, but I'm keeping track of not only the total kill count, but also the kill count of each enemy type, so I can share more interesting data with you at the end. After completing World 1, future worlds didn't do all that much to surprise me, but here are a few more things of interest that came up as I continued on my killing spree as everyone's favorite plumber. Level 2-2 was the first underwater level, and unintentionally my first pacifist run. I didn't plan on it, but it was way easier to simply avoid the swimming cheap-cheeps and bloopers, and before I knew it, the level was over without me having killed anything. While 2-2 was the first, levels 4-1, 6-3, and 7-2 all ended up being pacifist levels too. Level 4-4 was the first level that actually made me think. Being the last level of World 4, it takes place in a castle, and near the end, it splits into 3 sections you can traverse, an upper, middle, and lower section. Initially, I tried the upper path, but after taking it twice, I realized that the level was looping that same branching path section over again, and I came to the realization that I needed to try the other 2 paths. Though Super Mario Bros. Came out first, this section of the level gave me some Lost Woods vibes from the Zelda franchise, and I wonder if it was its original inspiration. World 8 was the final world, and for me, the difficulty definitely spiked here. There were more enemies and harder platforming sections than in any previous areas, but thanks to the rewind function on the Nintendo Switch version of the game, I never lost much progress. Level 8-4 was the first and only level I ran out of time and consequently failed. In this level, you have to go down multiple warp pipes in order to reach the next area. On my first run, I wasted quite a bit of time figuring out the central mechanic. My next try, knowing in advance a few of the pipes necessary to advance, I was able to beat it fairly easily and finished Super Mario Bros. With a final score of 444,650 points? Whatever that means. Upon completion of Super Mario Bros., I have to say I enjoyed my time with it. The platforming still holds up surprisingly well, and while I'm generally a bigger Zelda than Mario fan, this game is way more fun to play than the original Zelda, which was released around the same time. To me, Super Mario Bros. Is at its best when you are constantly holding right and jumping when needed, rather than taking your time and intentionally killing lots of enemies. If you haven't played it before and you have the Nintendo Switch Online, I would definitely recommend you give it a shot for yourself. It should be noted that upon beating the game, you have the opportunity to play through it again, but the levels have changed to increase the difficulty. This content is not necessary to beat the game, and I chose not to touch these additional post-game levels. I know the completionists out there are screaming at me, but upon finishing the main quest, I felt satisfied that I had got everything I wanted out of the game and had accomplished everything I needed to give an accurate final count. So, Let's answer the question we've all been wondering. How many enemies did I kill as Mario in Super Mario Bros? In total, across all 8 worlds, I killed 1 Blooper, 3 Bullet Bills, 3 Buzzy Beetles, 3 Cheep Cheeps, 73 Goombas, 2 Hammer Bros, 15 Koopa Paratroopas, 38 Koopa Troopas, 2 Lakitus, 1 Piranha Plant, 2 Spinies, and 1 Bowser. I'm also guessing I killed roughly 45 minutes of actual playtime, along with the hopes and dreams of Bowser, neither of which counted, culminating in a final kill count of 144. How close was the guess you made at the beginning of the episode? I personally was pretty surprised at how low the kill count ended up being. Since this is the first episode, we don't have any data to compare, but I'm curious how Mario from Super Mario Bros. Will compare to future iterations of himself, as well as other popular gaming icons like Link and Samus. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to do that YouTube thing of liking, commenting, and subscribing to stay up to date on future episodes. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you'll join us next time on Nintendo Kill Count as we investigate the trail of death left by another video game protagonist.